Peace, family. Tell me if y'all can hear me. Tell me if y'all can hear me. On Akhu should be here any second. Matter, matter of fact, I think I just seen him log in the back, y'all. So we gonna get to Akhu. This is gonna be a fun show tonight. This is gonna be a fun show tonight. Peace to the family, though. Somebody said I haven't been on one of your lives in a minute. All right. Well, thanks for being on. Thanks for being on tonight. You haven't been on a live in a minute. All right, family. I see Rod cool. I think he's getting himself. Let Rod get himself situated in the back. But I want to say thank you to all of y'all. We're gonna have a great week here on Black Magic 363. A lot going on. Some good announcements coming up this week. But yeah, we're gonna have fun. All right, family. So let me see if Rod is ready in the background. Yeah. We're gonna give Rod a minute or two. We're gonna give Rod cool a minute or two to get himself together. What's going on with y'all though, family? We just started a new week, a lot going on. Y'all know, I gotta do a show on this 3-eye atlas thing. Yo was telling me about it a couple of shows ago. I forgot who I was interviewing, but I gotta do like this shit might be bigger than what I think it is, man. So I gotta get some stuff going on, see what's going on with that. But we'll be here. Okay, Halloween. Damn, I didn't know that. Okay, shit. Wow. Yeah, I gotta talk to some people. But we got Rod. Rod look like he's ready now. Rod, my brother, are you? How you doing, my brother? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, Lord. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just waiting on you, waiting on the God, man, waiting to start the show. It is Monday, family. Without further ado, let me welcome to the program. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Like I said, my brother Akhu.
Peace, God. Peace, everybody.
Yeah.
Glad y'all came out.
You got the new specs on today, man. I almost didn't recognize you for a second, man. You got the new
they ain't really my style, but they were affordable, and I needed blue blockers with prescriptions, so I got them.
Yeah, you look younger, man. You like a young boy now, man. You got the blue blockers on, man. Oh man, Rod, cool, man.
This is here. This will always be the dead giveaway, right?
Oh, that's the dead giveaway, huh? Mm-hmm. Yep. I hear that, man.
Lightning.
Yo, how come you ain't passed by Invest Fest, man? I thought I would have seen you over there.
No, Lord. I don't leave when I'm busy. You know, my office is my home. I do all my readings right here on my computer. So recently, you know, this political climate is affecting the economy, and I'm one of the first people that feel it because the service I provide is a luxury, not necessarily a necessity to the average thinking individual. Therefore, I'm one of the first ones to feel it when it goes haywire, right? So I have to focus more on feeding my kids than I do getting out sometimes. You dig?
Totally get it, yeah.
Okay, totally. To put it shortly, money been tight. So I've been chasing that dollar more than I've been focusing even on promoting myself.
Right. Now I hear you, my brother. I hear you. And I know once they hear what you got to deliver tonight, a lot of people are gonna want to holler at you. So that's always a good thing. Me and you got an announcement. I'm gonna wait about 15, 20 minutes and I'll let y'all know. But let's get started with this show. The name of it tonight, Raoul, is Cosmic Chemistry. And in the climate that we're in right now, social media, the hip-hop culture, just the American culture in general, people are going after the wrong things when it comes to relationships. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. People don't even know what to look for when it comes to a friend. So we're getting people that are constantly stabbing us in the back. We're getting relationships that are just totally not a match. But I guess there's a science to all of this. And we have forgotten our signs. So I seen a post Keek Simon shared of yours the other day that was quite interesting. and you were talking about relationships, and I said, "Damn, I want to do a show with Ra on compatibility. When what type of people mesh well with me, whether you're my friend, whether you're a business partner, whether you're a mate, vice versa. And I'm sure everybody wants to know that. So, very interesting show. What's the science behind why I could only be around a nigga that's born on the 12th or some crazy shit like that? What's wrong with the 13th? What's wrong with the 18th? Why I gotta be certain numbers? Could you kind of explain how does astrology bring about compatibility when it comes to relationships in this world, my brother? Then we'll get into examples.
Well, I'm gonna be dropping examples in between my illustrations anyway.
Indeed.
But
Indeed.
yeah, I can tell you like this here, man. It's way more
Mm-hmm.
compatibility astrology is way more complex than
Mm-hmm.
individual uh analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because when you're reading one person, okay, let's get it. Let me explain something else first. So just watch out that way and relax for a second and walk with me. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You gotta understand the science of astrology is purely based on geometric relationships between the planets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why? People are like, why? They don't understand how most people don't. And it's recently been becoming a popular knowledge that the whole universe, the atom itself, ain't nothing but a vibratory frequency or a set of frequencies that allow it to compose itself into what we know as the atom.
Mm-hmm.
When we look in a microscope at the nucleus of an atom and we look at the center of the nucleus, all that is found there is a swirl of energy. There's no matter, no thing. You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? So
Yes.
everything in creation is just a vibration and it all operates in vibratory frequency one with another. So therefore, if you understand music, we have a thing in music called harmonics. You and chords and chords are like two different sounds being played together that complement one another
Mm-hmm.
and create a whole new ambient sound because they meet.
Oh yeah.
This is how people get along.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear it in the slang and people think it's just something slick, but you walk into a room and you say to yourself, yeah, I'm vibing with this. You look
Uh-huh.
at another individual. This has happened to everybody, I'm sure. You ain't, you don't know this person. You haven't had any experience or time spent with this person, but as soon as you meet this person,
Mm-hmm.
it's this automatic. I want to put up this wall.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
And contrary to that, you have friends. Everybody out there has friends, comrades, associations who y'all was on and popping from the day y'all first spoke to each other.
Mm.
This is romantic, social, or business. Some people have to grow on you, and some people you instantly like, and some people you instantly want to be like, what the fuck is he doing here? Who the fuck is this guy? You
Mm-hmm.
see? All right, now, where does that come from? The geometry between you and that person, the frequency, your geometry, your birth chart creates a specific ambient vibratory frequency that is um, exclusive to the alignments in your birth chart. This is what makes you who you are. Why you like dark green as opposed to light green, and that person likes blue as opposed to green at all. Okay? Because they're vibratory frequency. This is how we get in the chart and tell a person what color car they would be driving. What was the other person's energy like that they were with at the time of this reading? Because we're able to judge the frequency. All right. This is what gives your body individuality. All right. What do I mean by that? Your heart and your stomach are both 100% you, but they operate on different frequencies. This is why the heart is the heart and the stomach is the stomach. Okay. The heart is beating every second, boom, 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 making different waves every second. at a faster pace than the stomach, yet both of them work in tune and in harmony to keep you alive. Well, so do your social tendencies vibe with the social tendencies of another human being. And the geometry that they are given is interacting with the geometry that you are given. Now, just take that thought right there and hold it, because you can't lose track of this thought, but you have to conceptualize something else too. All right? You are made up of every frequency that was in effect at the moment that you took your first breath. Okay? Now, that isn't the end of it. And this is where people don't conceptualize beyond this point. They look at their birth chart and they think that that is the end of it. But your birth chart has a specific geometric imprint based on the position of the planets. And these planets will repeat or will create new geometric relationships to the planets, to the places that they were when you were born. Okay? This is what we use to predict people's futures, or to predict the environment of people's lives and life processes and at specific periods in their life. Okay? Now, that same vibratory frequency that creates all your thoughts, all your actions, all your moods, all your influences, all your decisions, has everything to do with the timing of your life. That same imprint interacts with another person's. Okay? It's just like you ain't gonna take no lit match and drop it in the water and the lit match not be affected by the fact that it's not all wet. You're not going to get in the company of another radiant being, because that's what we all are. We all radiate these energies, okay? So you can feel the harmonious relationships in the geometry. You can feel those automatically, and you can feel the disharmonious ones automatically. It comes out in the form of social interaction like, yeah, man, who was that nigga you brought up here with you the other day, man? Don't bring him back. He's like, yo, that's my man. He ain't say nothing to you. Yeah, he ain't have to say nothing, man. I just don't feel right around that nigga. I guarantee you that if the purpose of that meeting had monetary foundations, that this person has a malefic or a strong impact planet in what we call bad aspect to your money planet or to your instinctual planet, you see? And because there are 10 planets for an individual, they're automatically just between the 10 planets and the one node. If we include the node, a lot of astrologers don't count the node in this, but I do, okay? Because I don't see reading a person and ignoring their purpose on this planet and everything else that's going on, right? So I include the nodes, right? So that creates 65 automatic aspects to think about when you're dealing with one person. Right? The sun to Mercury, the sun to the moon, my sun to your sun, my sun to your Venus, my sun to your Neptune, my sun to your Pluto, my sun to your Uranus, my sun to your Saturn, my sun to your North Node. Okay? My moon to your moon, my moon to your sun, my moon to your Mercury, my moon to your, and this goes on for every planet. My Pluto to your moon too, because Pluto represents another aspect of myself. Mercury represents another aspect of myself. Venus represents another aspect of myself. And likewise, each one of these components are used to analyze the person you're dealing with. So now it goes from 65 considerations on a planetary aspect or a tendency comparison. Human tendency comparison. That has to blow up now another layer, because we have another person. So instead of 65 considerations to make here, we are making the consideration of 130. Okay? And this is the base upon which we're going to start to read everything else in the relationship. How the money works, how you two get along socially, how you two get along as a family, how you two get along in business, because we are planets for business, planets for family, planets for personality, planets for personal projection, planets for the part of you that you don't want to share with anybody. That's your 12th ruler, the planet that rules your 12th house, you see? And the part of you that doesn't like to share yourself with others doesn't change when you get married. Doesn't change. So you want to be able to look at your partner's chart too and see how your tendencies affect theirs. All right. So now, this isn't even the end of the consideration. Mind you, did you hear what I just said? I'm pretty sure a lot of people skipped over it. And this is the part that you're not listening to. When you say, oh, I'm an Aries and he's a Leo. Are we going to get along? You just asked me sun to sun comparison. I got to look at your son to his son. You already know the answer to that because you saw him and liked him. Bing. Or he saw you and liked you. Bing. That is the sun to sun aspect. But what about the sun to moon? How are we going to relate? And how is my self-image, the way I see myself, going to adapt to express to your emotional expression? You know how something could be like, I can deal with her on this level, but when she starts to get emotional, we can't even talk. She just starts whatever the complaint is, right? That is a relationship of his sun to her moon, or his Mercury to her moon, or his fifth ruler to her moon, or any one of the 10 planets to her moon. You see? So when people say those short questions, I got a quick question. Is it going to work between me and this Leo? I don't fucking know, to be honest with you, because you're asking me one consideration out of 130. There are 130 other things I need to look at to know whether y'all going to get along, other than your sun degrees. And the sun degree is what you're saying. The sun sign is what you're saying. When I'm a Pisces and he's a Scorpio. That means nothing. Okay? So all that means to me is you're a woman and he's a man. Or he's a man or you're the man and she's the woman. It don't matter which one is which, okay? Even in a homosexual situation, these energies don't have any regard for the type of relationship. What do I mean by that? That means that if you're partnering up with a person who has tension planetary relationships to your planets, and there's more tension than there is ease, it doesn't matter if this person is your teacher, because you're going to experience that tension through the interaction regardless. Whether this person is your parent, when we're taking into consideration parent-child relationships, it doesn't matter whether this person is your father, your girlfriend, your uncle, your cousin, your sister, okay? Your mom's, your great-grandmother, your teacher at school, your boss on the job, the bus driver who drives the bus that you get on every morning to go to work. These tensions will manifest themselves if the interaction is pursued, if any close interaction is pursued, okay? I'm going to give you an example of this, okay? You know, I've been doing this for quite some time, so I recognize certain phenomena in real life. I know exactly what planet is used to describe this phenomena. And here goes the example. You know, I used to write in all capital letters. No matter what, no matter where. And, you know, mostly the white people that I encountered had a problem with it. My own folks didn't give a fuck one way or another. When I say my own folks, you know who I'm talking about, right? So now I would know why those people were so irritated, okay? Because writing is Mercury. Expressing yourself verbally, whether with your voice or with a pen, or with the typewriter, is all Mercury, okay? Equally Mercury. There's not one of those acts have more mercurial indication than the other. They're all ruled by Mercury, right? So I know as a Scorpio, I got Mercury in Scorpio, in other words, right? That the people that are most likely to be moved in a negative fashion by my speech, my writing, my verbal expression, my thought transferences, are those people who have Mercury in the last decan of Leo and the last decan of Aquarius and the last decan of Taurus. But this is the first subset of people that ain't going to be vibing with how I speak or what I say. Okay? And then in my experience through life, I have seen this because I have had opportunity to look at the charts of the people that had shit to say about me, good or bad. All right. So, and I always notice this, it be these Leo niggas, man. Yeah. They got a problem with the way I speak because they got ego fucking problems, man. Okay. The ones that I'm referencing, not every Leo on the planet. So all y'all getting your feathers ruffled, cut it out. Right? And the Aquarius. Now, why? Because these two signs geometrically form a square, a 90-degree aspect, which is considered a potentially tension aspect, where it is not ideal in parent-child relationships. It is not an ideal, but it exists nonetheless, right? And it is not ideal in romantic relationships. Sometimes these tension aspects are necessary to maintain equilibrium. Okay? So, and we'll get into all that, you know. Listen, I'm doing a Sure Enough masterclass seminar on this topic and specifically, and because like I don't have 6 hours to sit here and explain to you every single potential aspect and to explain how that works, because while people look at certain things that are said online, here's the video that I make that Rich is referencing, okay? That video shows one little layer to look at for consideration. That's not the end all be all of it. The end all be all of it is much more complicated than we can glean, because there's stuff going on beyond the purview of our vision with regard to what that person is thinking, what this person usually does in this situation, but is now making a concession in your case for because they like you or because y'all have a relationship. So what normally is enacted isn't always present. You have to look at the strongest aspect between these two people. Luckily for us, when you multiply that 130 aspects, you have to multiply it by 12, okay? Because there are 12 different positions that these things can possibly manifest from, all right? And then you have to think of the twist. That's 144. So we're multiplying 144 times 65 whenever we're reading a couple factors that need to be taken into consideration. And this is the reason why I say to people when I'm doing my lives and they come in and we're explaining compatibility, which is complex enough as it is. Because if you don't understand the mechanics of how one person's chart works, how are you going to add another chart in there? You dig what I'm saying? You think that clockwork isn't intricate? It is. And it is intricate. It is very, how do you say, meticulous. You can't gloss over it because you're dealing with people's desires, ultimately people's destinies, because they're going to follow their desires into a relationship. They're going to follow their desire to be with that person. And while you may have a strong desire aspect there, you're ignoring all the potential hidden things, like the woman who is coldly attracted to this man very suddenly, right? Bang. She likes him. Everything about him externally is what she thinks she wants. Okay? But she has no clue. This nigga might be a woman beater. He might be schizophrenic. She doesn't know that immediately, right? The chart will show where they get along and where they don't. I made that video last week about the woman's Neptune, about the man's Neptune, Mars and Venus. Those are only 3 planets to consider, 3 factors to consider. In that was not explained the indicator of how y'all going to get along in terms of hygiene, you know? Like, for example, the woman who says, oh, man, you always leave your socks here at the end of the bed, right? And she puts up with that shit for years because she loves this nigga, right? See, little factors like that are in there when his Mercury squares her sun. Then she may find throughout the course of the relationship, she has to really get his attention and make sure he's listening before she starts speaking, because he tends to tune out whenever she gets to yapping. Okay, this will happen if his Mercury is in bad aspect. So you can't just take a little meme that is meant to pique your interest and think that is the end of it, nor can we explain in the course of 1 hour the entirety of the process. So for that reason, I'm doing a Patreon special on this topic, okay? And you'll be able to see the first part of it on Friday, all right? At Patreon, on my Patreon. But to move forward. Now, after we take into consideration these planetary aspects, we have to take into consideration the weight of them. You see, are these aspects being made from this person's personal houses? Are these aspects being made to your personal houses from this person's financial houses? So you don't agree with their sense of economy, with the way they spend money and the things that you want to have materially. This person doesn't see any need for those. Though y'all might get along very well in the physical attraction department, and this person may have the money that the woman requires, or the woman may have the qualities that the man requires, but she's not willing to perform because of the aspect between them. She's not willing to perform that in this situation because she doesn't feel that's going to propel her. So it goes either way. So don't take this use of pronouns and think that it's exclusive to her when I say her, or exclusive to him when I say him, because it can go either way. All right? Understand that. How you got along with your teachers at school, your favorite teachers, okay? If you had any, all right? Your favorite people. These people, you're going to see aspects between them that describe the social relationship that ensues whenever these two people come together. And you have to take into consideration where these people are in life. In other words, where they have progressed to by progression or perfection or whatever predictive method you're using. If you're using Vedic astrology, you're going to be concerned as to what dasha they're in. You see? And what are the aspects to that dasha ruler from this person's relationship planets and this person's personality planets? And you want to consider all of this, or you want to have some kind of awareness of all of this before you even get in a relationship. This is what the courtship, in the absence of astrological thought, this is what the courtship is supposed to rule out. What you like about this person, what you don't like about this person, so that you are aware of what rubs this person wrong and not. Well, astrologically, it's already there. Amen.
Indeed. Ra, you ready for me to ask a question, or you want to keep going?
Well, I had some more to present.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Do your thing. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
See, now you have to understand that the reason why a consideration must be made and the objects of that consideration weighed is because regardless of whom or what, you have these factors, right? When you look at it in totality, it's 65 or 130 in the case of two people times 144, because 12 times 12, there's 12 different combinations possibly for every sign, right? Well, that's 288. All right, it's already getting to 18,720 variables that can be considered in a relationship. Fortunately, all those aspects will never exist all at once. So we can look at a minimum of 3,120 considerations that need to be made before you can say, yeah, y'all gonna get along here. Yeah, y'all might not get along here. And regardless of how well you get along with a person, here goes another layer that needs to be put on. When did this relationship start? You don't want to get into a relationship when Saturn is transiting your fifth house, unless Saturn is the ruler of a house that complements that, like the fifth house. But what if Saturn is the ruler of the fourth? You see? And your living conditions aren't stable. Now you want to get into a relationship so that you can stabilize your living conditions, because perhaps the partner's resources will allow you to get on your feet, right? Well, there goes the wrong motive for getting in a relationship, because as soon as that transit passes, like 9 months, a year later, the conditions that brought you into that relationship no longer exist. So whether you're going to stay with this person or not, there's a new dynamic now. Okay, you weren't under the same vibratory frequency now in the course of the relationship that you were in when it started. Okay, that needs to be taken in consideration, because the chart for the day y'all met has an imprint of its own that is going to react to every subsequent planetary alignment that occurs. You see? And these things here all have to do with compatibility. And because I learned them, I studied them, I can't see eschewing or dispensing with one. Okay, I'll just look at this part and ignore all of that. Because if you don't look at the relationship in terms of its finances, what is it going to produce? Okay? And then we need to look at it in terms of its finances, regardless of what it produces. Is it going to produce children? Is it going to produce a legacy? Is it just for business? Is it going to produce an alliance? You understand what I'm saying when I say what it produces? Huh? So what is it going to produce? Now you have to look at whatever the intention is for it to produce and then look at the chart economically to see, is it going to produce that in abundance, or is it going to produce that in minimals, or is it going to produce that in moderation? Okay. You got a lot of factors to deal with, because a woman might love the way you project yourself, and she loves the way you live because you're clean and all that other stuff. But then she can't stand your or his inability to get along with her in-laws. He don't like your mother. Right? He don't like your family now, okay? But he loves you, but he really don't like being around your family. Now, what if you have it that the moon trines your sun, so your man got to get along with your family? See? So we can see things like this before the relationship even happens. Man, I got to tell you a story, okay? This is my own personal testimony, all right? I came home from prison in 1992, and all I wanted to do, because I figured if I become a family man, if I settle down and become a family man, then my inclination to be in the streets chasing money irrationally and recklessly would be at an all-time low, because now I got a family to consider. Okay, this was back in the 90s, late 90s, early 90s, right? So I'm home, right? And I'm trying to make this happen. I'm looking at my chart, using the description it's giving me of my partner, okay, using just that factor. Okay, because this is when I first started to realize that relationship astrology could guide me to my partner, right? But I did not know that you have 12 houses in your chart, and 6 of them are used chronologically for every relationship you've been in. Whoa, what does that mean? Well, what did you just say, dude? Let me say it again. The 5th house represents the first time you fall in love. The 7th house represents the second time you fall in love. The 3rd house represents the 3rd time you fall in love. And if you are fortunate enough to fall in love this many times, the 4th time. And then the 5th partner, and then the 6th partner. If you have multiple partners, we need to be considering what place this partner falls in chronologically, because the 7th house all by itself is only going to tell us in general what you need to have a secure relationship. It is not going to say what you need specifically this time for a secure relationship. That's a general rule for you. But this relationship was not like this relationship, and you did not have the same needs in that relationship that you had when you met this one. You see what I'm saying? And the chart gives precise description of all those things. So here we have another factor. We can multiply everything I just explained to you now by 12 to be considered. Her 6, her 1, A's 6, and B's 6. Then these same houses give indication to that what's going to happen regarding the children. You know, if she has death of a child in the place of her second child, and he has death of a child in the place of his first child, and his first child is her second child, we can automatically see. Okay? I did this recently for a family member. They just had a baby. They called me for a reading, And I'm looking, they came late. The baby was already born, all that other stuff, right? 9 months old, all this. And to my not to my knowledge, she's pregnant again. So I'm reading my cousin, my first baby, and I say to my cousin, I say to him, yo, y'all thinking about having another baby? And they both together said no. And then I said, really, because it's deep, because y'all have the death of the second child together. This is your second child. She said, yeah. And I knew that my cousin, this was his first child, so the next one would be his second. So I said, damn. And he said, to be honest with you, man, she pregnant now. And we was talking about abortion this morning, having an abortion. We neither one of us want the responsibility. And I'm like, wow. Well, it's very likely that y'all are going to do it, because it says that. Okay, so these things need to be known before you get in a relationship. How many relationships break apart because, oh, she got pregnant and he don't want the motherfucker? Or vice versa. She got pregnant and she don't want it and he wants it. Where you could have seen the potential for this to happen had you looked at your own chart. This is why these things are demonized. They want you to run to the priest, to the pastor, to the bishop, to the religious figurehead with all of these questions that they can't begin to answer. Okay? They'll prescribe a prayer for your ass as opposed to a description of the environment at the time that you're going to meet your partner. You see, I got to the point where looking for my partner, I'm using my chart. I'm using the moon because I want the woman that I can live with easily. Okay, that I can have a family with, and I'm looking at how our moons get along. Okay, and which houses they get along from. And what signs they're in, because if it's a tension aspect, that will describe the nature of the tension that comes when it comes to domestic, my idea of domestic bliss or desirability. Okay? You got to understand that their aspects to your aspects are very important, because this is going to determine what you like about them and what you don't. You know, how you say, oh man, I love my wife to death. But in the back of your mind, you're saying, I can't stand the fact that she leaves her fucking cosmetics all over the goddamn bathroom. You dig what I'm saying? Right? Well, cosmetics is Neptune, so her Neptune might square your Mercury while it forms a good aspect to your Venus. So when you first met her, it was beautiful to you, all that makeup and all that shit. But then when you started living with her, you saw what was behind that facade. You see? So astrology showed what's behind that facade. Basically, I think I've illustrated that enough, right? I think I've illustrated it enough. Let me see, is there another point? And there are several layers, because you have to consider the fact that the human composition is extremely complex all by itself. Now you adding another complex equation that's equally as complex in there. So it's like taking 100 and another 100. And it doesn't make 200. It makes 1,000. You see, 100 times 100 is what it makes. This is the amplitude, because the potential manifestation of this combination could, just this one combination alone, can describe 30 different events over the course of a year or so. You dig? This alignment may point to your economic situation. If your economic situation usually faces 2 challenges a year, okay, then where the 2 squares occur at the most is where you got to buckle down and make sure you're spending properly because of your income or whatever. You got to reassess your finances, if nothing else, right? So then twice a year, you would like to be prepared for this, right? Well, your partner has her 2, and you have your 2. And coming together, y'all both create a central focal point there that kicks both of y'all's off at the same time, frequently in the composite. We're taking into consideration another layer in the relationship dynamic, which is composites. You see? So all of these things become plain to you once you have a knowledge of the science and the rules, the nomenclature required to make the assessment of it. And it becomes obvious to you when you look in the past, when you look at how you got along with this person, and then you're looking at both of their charts and you see those tension aspects and see what planets were involved and see how those planets point to what you dug the most about this person and how the planet's intention aspect describe those things you wish that this person would modify. Okay? And you have to take into consideration the influence that one person has on another. All right? Now I think that's good enough right there. So we can open up for questions or
Yep.
whatever.
Nah, you was dropping it, Rob. You shit. You went in. This is what we was waiting for. This is what we expect when you come on the show, brother. Let me ask you this, Rob, because I definitely want to get to some questions from the family, and we also have an announcement we want to make for the people. All right, so Rob, I want to ask you about like the idea of somebody getting a surgery. A lot of times when people get surgeries, and let me use heart surgeries for an example. Let's just use like a heart transplant. They would take on the personality of the person's who heart they receive. So let's say they never knew how to play the piano. They got a heart transplant. Now all of a sudden they just like, I don't know. I know how to play the piano now, or I know how to play the piano, or I have a taste for this food, or a taste for that food, or now I like this, or now I like that. After getting that person's heart transplant, my question to you is, do you take on a person's astrology when you take on their organ? When you get a surgery, if you was to get a heart transplant, what you read a person's astrology before they had a transplant, is it now different after the transplant that they just took, my brother?
Now, before I answer that question with what my opinion about that is,
Yeah.
I want everybody here to know this is just my opinion. You know why? Because I haven't had the opportunity to explicitly study a motherfucker who got a heart transplant to see if it. But what do I think? I have other evidences that give me ground to give an opinion on this matter. All right. What I know is if you had a clone, you made it. They made a clone of you, right? The chart for that clone would not be your birth chart. It would be the moment that organism received air. I don't give a fuck that that is you. Okay? But that organism, that person, and everything regarding that person came into existence as soon as the organism was oxidized. It came into astrological measure, okay? Because we're going to use the birth chart here as opposed to the prenatal epic, which is another layer, right? But anyway, we're going to use the birth chart here. So that starts at the moment of oxidation, okay? So that means that heart is just as much that person as that person's finger, is just as much that person as that person's eyeball. So I do believe that if I get your heart, that heart was first oxidized at a certain time. That the times allotted to that heart don't change simply because it's mine.
Got you. That's fire.
Now I could be wrong because why? And you know, I love exploring where I could be wrong more than I love exploring where I could be right at. Okay, and people who don't understand that, because y'all ain't real perfectionists. You just want to look perfect. A real perfectionist combs through all his bullshit with a microscope.
You're a funny dude.
I comb through all my bullshit with a microscope, man. Okay? I don't have one opinion that I'm stuck on. I'm stuck on this until I get evidence to prove me wrong with this stance is where I'm at. If this stance is carrying me, I'll walk with it until you give me something that'll shut it down. And I don't have no problem shutting it down and saying, oh, that shit ain't working for me as well as this does.
Right.
You see, because I've been doing this in astrology for ages. I just spoke to a student today who I taught back in 1987. And he is going through techniques that I taught him that I don't even consider using anymore. You understand what I'm saying? So it keeps moving, it keeps building. But there are many, many tools with which to determine compatibility, and not one of them are a brief flip out the mouth.
Right.
Not one of them. You want a true analysis as to the dynamics of your relationship, as to that we need to look at it under a microscope. So I like to look at what could go wrong in there. Okay? A student of mine, his stepfather his father-in-law, not his stepfather, his father-in-law had previously, before visiting him, had heart surgery. Okay. And it's like December, he had heart surgery. So at the end of January, he's visiting his son-in-law and his daughter. While he's there, he's still smoking cigarettes, even though he got his heart in stitches. He starts coughing. He busts his stitches in his heart. He starts coughing up blood. He collapsed before the ambulance got there, and they pronounced him dead in the ambulance. And they resuscitated his ass when he got to the hospital. Okay, they revived him. Now, we had me and his student on the phone. As far as we knew, he was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. We did not know that he had been pronounced dead. We did not know that they used the fibrillation machine to bring his ass back. Okay, we didn't know none of that. So he called me and asked me. He said, "Yo, my father was here. My stepfather was. My father-in-law was here." And I pulled up his chart. I know it's ascendant because I've been doing his chart for the last couple months and shit. And he's having a sun in Scorpio at the ascendant with Pluto and Leo at the midheaven. Is he gonna die? And I looked at that and I said, nigga, the planet of life is in the sign of death at the ascendant. That's a powerful indication for death, okay, by itself. Then, not perfectly squared, but in a mundane square, it was perfectly conjunct in midheaven, while this is perfectly conjunct the ascendant. And we're using secondary progressions here, right? Then, when he first got the surgery, the sun was on the 10th cusp. And then when the stitches bust, the sun is Pluto was on the 10th cusp. Now Pluto is on his midheaven when he's having when the stitches busted. So I'm saying to myself, yeah, this nigga's a goner. He's dead. Okay? He's dead. And that's what I told my student. I said, yeah, man, don't go run back and tell your wife this unless you're willing to deal with her emotionality, right? But I think that nigga's a goner. Wow. So he called me 2 days later and was like, yep, you were right, but you were wrong. I'm like, I can't be right and wrong, man. He said, oh, yeah, he was dead. His heart stopped beating. He stopped giving vital signs. But they hit his chest with the defibrillator. And then, it struck me right in my face. Pluto is death. It is also birth. It is also recycling and revivification, resurrection on a religious tip. It points to resurrection, right? So when you revive a nigga, that's Pluto too. So where I was just using Pluto as death, Pluto means life, death, revivification, resuscitation. So I didn't take into consideration the resuscitation factor. So as an astrologer, I did an 8 on a 1 to 10 with that. You see where I'm coming from? So this is why when people say to me, oh yeah, well, my moon is here, his moon is here, my sun is here, his sun is there. I can only say how y'all relate emotionally. I can't say how y'all going to relate financially. I can't say how y'all going to relate morally. Okay? I can't say how y'all values are going to mesh because you only gave me the sun, which is how you fucking see your egotistical self. It's your fucking ego, man.
Rob, man.
And you just want me to read your fucking ego because that's all you've been taught to deal with. You say, oh, just like you. You say, oh, I'm a Virgo. That's the first thing you say, nigga, really? You're a Capricorn. You have the sun in Virgo. You see? And that's how that works. And that's real astrology. Y'all are used to hearing things. So it's the only frustration I find with it is that people assume that their question is enough to get the answer that they really want, and I know it isn't. You're asking me, how does my ego get along with his sense of feeling when you say his moon is here and my sun is here? That does not account for the way he talks to you. That does not account for the status that he gives you. That does not account for the degree of commitment he's willing to make. That does not account for his steadfast being there in hard times with you. That isn't even in that consideration. The sun to your moon has nothing to do with, is he going to stay with me when I get sick? You see? Is he going to really be there for me when I lose my job? Or is he going to feel like he need to get another girlfriend because I'm not producing my hair? You dig? All of this is to be seen in the comparison between you both. Any questions?
Yeah, Rob. Early when you first started the conversation, you started talking, you got into a little bit of what they would call quantum physics, and you were talking about the atoms and everything being vibration and everything being energy and everything being frequency. And we know vibration makes music. And you talked about when you get with somebody, your vibration and their vibration makes a certain sound, I guess you could say, or new vibration. With music, you know, you're in the music, I play the piano. Any piano song or melody that is beautiful has a little bit of tension in it. When you look at compatibility, do you look for a little bit of tension because you know that's going to make good music? So do you say you got to have a little bit of tension with these two sides because that ultimately is what makes the best songs?
Um, it isn't what I look for. I look to explain everything that comes out of the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there's going to be tension. See, that's like saying a human being was born without any bones in his body. That's not going to happen. No matter what kind of freak he is, if he's a freak of nature, he'll have some bones if it's only a few teeth, right? So
Right.
the point in the matter is, there's going to be tension. The reason for the reading is to understand the nature of the tension before you get to that bridge. It's a roadmap.
Right.
Okay? Because you want to go to California. This is your summer trip. So you rent the Winnebago, you pile the family in, you pile in the food, you put the stash money in, you make sure all the economy's right. Now you're rolling out. Mm-hmm. You got to take the route that is already laid there. You don't get to build no new highways in front of yourself. Right? Mm-hmm. This is the way life.
Is Rod frozen on your screen too? Or was it that just my screen? Family, is Rod cool frozen?
And I'm gonna forget where I was if it takes too long.
You back now? You back now, Rod?
You don't get to lay the highway. You get to decide which highway you're gonna take. But each highway is already predestined. The results, the reward of that action has already been predetermined. Okay? Mm-hmm. Certainly, you can say to yourself, I'm going to take this with me on the trip. You know, man plans like man builds a boat. And because this boat is state of the art, he could turn this boat on a dime. He could press a button and turn it into a submarine and take it down. All he sees is what he can do with the boat, and he says, I am a master. I done took all this metal and melted it to my will. I could turn this motherfucker. I'm a bad motherfucker, but what you fail to realize is you control the boat. You don't control the water.
Right, right.
The ocean can say, nigga, fuck your boat. Nigga, fuck your boat.
Yeah.
Okay? All the control you had with that boat is gone. So this is life. You're swimming in it. So you want to know the map, your birth chart tells you waters get rough here. Waters get smooth here. Okay? You're not going to stop the water from being rough, but now that you know waters are going to be rough, you can say, oh, I'm going to pad up in case I hit any rocks. Okay? This is the purpose. So when I look at the chart, yes, absolutely yes. I'm looking at the tensions first. Because this is going to be the reason why you leave this bitch. Pardon my language. This is going to be the reason why she leave your motherfucking ass. You dig? The tension. So when you come in for the reading, the first thing you know is here's where y'all conflicts are. Yeah. Here's where y'all going to have to adapt to one another at. And as the astrologer, I don't know and can't read this person's willingness to act on the higher side of their Mars or the lower part of their Mars. All I know is that they have Mars right here. And Mars acts like this and acts like this. Acts like this one is good, acts like this one is bad. I don't know for certain as the astrologer whether they're going to use the negative of that or the positive. So when I'm reading the chart, I present it all. This is the negative of this. This is the positive of this. If these people are vibing high, they'll naturally graduate to the higher aspect of it. And negative aspects, though they indicate poor relations in romance, indicate excellent relations in business. So if you're the type of man that wants to get with a woman and you want her to be the vice president or the promoter or the manager of your business, right? then you're going to want tension aspects there.
Mm.
Because she's the one, that tension aspect is going to be where she's in conflict with your decision. You're going to want some conflict with your decisions. You're not going to want a yes woman. Okay, honey. Okay, honey. You want a woman that's going to recognize, wait. I see where you're coming from with that, but have you considered this? See, and that's what that square represents.
Wow.
This is what that opposition represents.
This dude is sharp, man. Wow. You gotcha.
So you don't want a woman that doesn't give you any resistance. What the hell you going to get better with her? You going to make her better? Is she going to make you better? Well, she's going to make you better because she ain't having it. You dropping your drawers in the bathroom and not putting them shits in the hamper, nigga. She not having that. So she going to improve that part of your being. She noticed you complain about constipation every time she makes this dish for you. Guess what she going to say, nigga, every time you eat? Because she's supposed to oppose you right there. The science of partnership itself is geometrically in opposition.
Mm.
Okay? The best thing for you is your opposition. What you like the best is a trine. What you easily adapt to is a sextile. What is difficult for you to adapt to is the square. But those squares are necessary. They're just as necessary as the soft aspect. You loving her and y'all fucking each other's brains out and loving to do that, and her loving to take care of you, and you just, that's all trine sextile shit, okay? But what about when she sees you ain't going the right way and she disagrees? It's her obligation now to speak up for the sake of the whole. Hey, what the fuck are you doing? And who wants a woman that ain't willing to speak up? Not me.
Right.
Not me, man. I only have one wife, okay? So right. I don't have a whole bunch of opinions to be taken for granted. I got one and I listen to that, you see? And it listened to me. She listened to me. So let me tell you how I found her, because I used my chart. So I practice what I preach, okay? Mm-hmm. Here at least, okay? Mm-hmm. We all have some hypocrisy somewhere. So I got tired of my heart getting broke, of me getting into relationships that didn't work because I didn't get to really know what this woman was like. And I'm thinking that my chart is describing her, right? Mm-hmm. So, which it does. It just gives it the negative when I'm picking the wrong person. It gives me the negative of what my birth chart says, right? Mm-hmm. So I looked at my own chart with a new scrutiny, okay? In 2009, I looked at my chart and I said to myself, I should let my chart totally decide what I should be with, as opposed to what I think I like, what I want, as opposed to what I was looking at for what I needed, as opposed to what I wanted. And I used my chart to make that determination. Okay. So because I wanted her sun to conjunct my moon, because when I see this in relationships outside of myself, my grandparents, the couple that's been together for 30 years, a friend of mine, him and his wife been together since the 80s. Okay. And as much as he complains about the shit she does in the bounds of that relationship, they have been together since 1988, man. Uninterrupted. So what I saw was, in the most constant relationships, one of their moons was very close to the other one's sun. So I said to myself, oh, what day of the year would a woman need to be born on? And January the 13th corresponds to the moon in my chart. So then I'm like, yeah, but I gotta like the way she looked, because I'm a superficial individual. I want her to be gorgeous, you know what I'm saying? And so my ideal gorgeous, my Neptune is in my 5th house in Scorpio. So, which describes the mother of my children, if I ever have any, right? So I'm like, I'm looking for this. And in 2009, I posted it on Facebook. I said, man, I need a woman who was born on January 13th, any year after, back then it was 1985, 1986, any year after she had to be 28 years old or older. Okay, that's all I want her. She had to be older than 28 because I want her to have already gone through her Saturn return. I don't want to be her Saturn return. right? So she has to be older than 28 years old. And as long as she is born on January 13th, she needs to be born between 12 midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning. So now I'm going to use this as the criteria for my engagement with the woman, right? And years later, man, 6 years later, 7 years later, 2016, in the month of April, somebody sends a chart, this somebody is my wife, to my inbox. And it is exactly what I was looking for. The ascendant was 7 degrees Scorpio. That's my sun degree. I wanted my sun to be on my wife's ascendant because that creates a vibratory frequency of relatedness. We can relate no matter what. We have we can relate to each other. So my sun on her ascendant and her moon, and her sun on my moon. And this chart, they put the sun and Jupiter on my moon. So first of all, I thought somebody was fucking playing with me. Okay? Because I'm like, here goes the chart I was looking for. She was born at 1:26 a.m. That's between 12 and 2. You dig what I'm saying? So I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking one of my comrades or one of my students scrolled all the way back in my Facebook and saw that post and then threw that motherfucking chart in there to fuck with me. And I really believe that's what it was, right? So she had put her phone number there. I called it. I called the phone number. And, okay, hold this thought because I need to interject this. While I was busy assessing my chart, you know, your chart describes your partner's family members. It describes her siblings. It describes her mother, her father, and what they do. Your chart does it. Everybody's chart does. Because it describes the siblings of the partner. And it describes the parents of the partner. And it describes the children of the partner. Okay? See, this stuff really is elaborate when you use derivative houses. There's pretty much any aspect of any type of relationship can be looked at. So I stopped looking for my wife and started looking for her brothers. What do I mean by that? My chart, I have in the 9th house, which gives indication to in-laws. I have Pisces there, which was the feet. F-E-E-T, not D-E-F-E-A-T. The feet, the foot, you know, the toes, the heel, all that. So now, it gives indication to the feet. And I have the planet Saturn there in its retrograde. And it's square Mars, okay, in Sagittarius. So my chart literally says that my wife's sibling, younger sibling, would have a broken foot. Okay. And the aspect to that was perfect between 3 and 4 years before I met her. So when we first met, I called her on the phone. Now let's go back to where I told y'all to hold that thought at, right? Boom. So I went back. I called her phone. And I didn't even wait. I didn't say hello and all that old dumb shit. I was like, yo, you said, is this your chart? You sent me this chart here. Is this really yours? And she was like, yeah, that's my chart. I said, how do you know? How do you know that this is your time of birth? Where'd you get it? She said, well, that's my birth certificate. So I was like, this looks like my wife's chart. She laughed because, you know, that was some lame ass shit in her mind. Okay? She laughed and said, nigga, you ain't even my type. And I wasn't, you know, old man, no teeth in my mouth. I'm like, please, I'm sure that you may be my wife. She said, what makes you so sure? I said, there are 2 more things I need to verify because I'm not using your chart. I've seen this chart, charts like this. I've dated girls with charts like this. So I'm also considering where that shit wasn't an indicator. So I said there's 2 things that need to be before I'm 99% sure, and I'd still be 1% doubtful, right? I said, do you have siblings? She said, yes. I said, that's one part. I said, did one of them break their foot about 3 or 4 years ago? She said, what? I said, did your brother break his foot? She says, how would I know? I said, well, he's your brother. If he had a broken foot, you ain't never seen him in a cast? She says, I don't know. I said, well, ask him. Because that's going to be the determining factor, whether I pursue a relationship with you or whether I Look at you as another client. And she came back to me the next day talking about, nigga, there's something with that because my brother broke his foot about 3.5 years ago. Now, what I didn't say was that the ninth house represents transportation also, right? Well, he broke his foot working on a car in a car garage. So that was enough for me. That was enough for me to say, oh, yeah, well, you definitely my wife. She laughed and was like, you still ain't my type. Just because you said that. So listen, you don't know your type. You dig? You don't know your type because the relationships that you've had with niggas who you thought were your type, how long did they last, ma? How long did they last? And why ain't you with them now if they were really your type? See, you have to understand too that society has warped who you really are. Your parents have warped who you really are. All right? So finding your true self, that's what the Metaphorine and the ancient Egyptian mysteries was really all about. Resurrecting that dead soul was going back and finding your true original self, which the world has killed through its training of you. So a lot of people want what they think they're supposed to have because of what society says you're supposed to have. But the chart illustrates what the fuck you're supposed to get, regardless of how tragic or how beneficial. Okay? Like, what do I mean by how tragic? Okay, I love to use Malcolm X because I am positive that everybody watching this shit right here knows his story. So, okay, he was born on May the 19th, 1925, all right? He had Mars and Pluto in Cancer in the seventh house. He had a 3-degree or maybe 14 degrees. I haven't decided which one because both of them work in this timeline, right? Whether he was a 3-degree or a 14-degree, Sagittarius rising in his hometown, okay, in the town he was born in, which is Lansing, Michigan, I believe, right? Or Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, Omaha, Nebraska, and then they moved to Lansing, Michigan. At any rate, when we look at his birth chart, now in classical astrology, they tell you that a malefic in Cancer speaks to the father. Okay? Malefic means a harm indicating planet, a planet that gives indication to tragedy. Okay? So he has 2 planets there that give indication of tragedy. One of them is Mars, which is the planet of violence, and the other one is Cancer, which is the planet of, Pluto, which is the planet of death in modern astrology. Mars is also death in classical astrology. So you can say that he had death twice in the sign of Cancer. And he had it in the 7th house. Now, let me give you these components. Write them down if you truly want to understand it. If you just want to follow along and catch the gist, then don't. Okay. But anyway, Mars is violence. Pluto is death. The Cancer is the chest. And the 7th place represents open enemies. Okay. Did he not die by a wound to his chest from an open enemy? They killed him in the wide open, didn't they? Okay. Now, they weren't hidden, hiding or none of that. They were all in the open, just like the 7th house says, okay? Now, so the fact that it actually happened is me saying, as above, so below. As it was in the sky, the moment of his birth, so shall it manifest his days on this earth. Okay, that's my religion right there. I'm not vacating from that. I'm not using the word spirituality because I follow this shit blindly after seeing it perfectly happen. Not in just his chart, and Martin Luther King chart, Gandhi's chart. Anybody famous has been murdered. I looked at it. RFK, JFK, I looked at all their charts. And it was the aspect to their Mars. Sometimes it was between Mars and Saturn. Sometimes it was Mars and Pluto. Anyway, let me get back to Malcolm X.
Oh boy. Oh man. What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? I'm sure he'll call back in. I don't know if Raw was having technical difficulties or what. I'm sure he'll call right back in. He was cooking. This might. He always cooked, but this one today was wow. This was super duper special. Super duper special, y'all. Mazel, I think I told y'all one of the announcements that I got this week. So I told y'all a new show. Well, I'm revamping my whole Patreon, and one of the new shows I'm gonna have on a monthly basis. I talked to Ra about it. It's called Married. Okay, let me get Ra back. Here you go, and then I'm gonna talk to you. Then I'm gonna tell y'all about it. Ra, you good?
Yeah,
Can you?
I don't know what happened, God. My whole computer just shut off.
Damn.
So I turned it back on, and now here we go again. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So anyway, I left off with Malcolm X, right? So he had Mars, which is fire. Okay. This is another, we're using the same set of planets to look at another promise, another life process of his, other than his own death. Okay. So it talks about the death of another person. Because the seventh house in an astrology chart talks about your partner and what will befall them if you're with them or not. Okay? So what will befall them is written in your seventh house. And mind you, Malcolm was born 9 years before Betty, and he died 30 years before she died. Okay? Keep that fact in mind because that shit is important as hell when it comes to considering the destiny or the choice of this matter. Okay? So if we have letters of him discussing what type of woman he wanted and what type of woman he was going to pick from the available women at Masjid number 7 in New York, or Mosque number 7 in New York, in Manhattan, right? And he picked Betty. And he wrote other letters of a personal nature talking about her burning desire for sex, okay? How she was wearing him out, literally. That is Mars and Pluto conjunct. Mars is burning, Pluto's desire, the seventh house is partnership, and the sign that it's in is Cancer. She was the woman, right? And she was always at home. And because she was a woman always at home, I believe it was because she was so poor, all right? But none of that. Let's go back to the natal promise. She died in a fire, Mars. At home, Cancer. The death was Pluto. Okay? 30 years after he died. Because that doesn't speak to the reality. His chart literally said he would marry a woman who dies in a fire at home. That's not the end of it. Here goes another level, all right, another layer to consider with regard to this exact place. The seventh place, not only does it describe your partner, it describes the product of the second pregnancy. Okay? So it talks about his second daughter. His second daughter gave birth to a little boy who was accused of setting this fire. He also, the little boy, died, Pluto, of a head, Mars, injury in a foreign country at a refreshment place. They tried to charge him for some drinks, which is Cancer. So the death of his grandson is even in his birth chart. Okay? When you look at Betty's chart, you see that she's going to experience the death of her husband. So when you look at this, you can't even take what is unpleasant into consideration as something you should or should not tell the person when you're doing a compatibility read. Because what was the purpose of me using that? On one hand, Mars and Pluto talks about sexual desire. In every human being, it gives the indication of sexual desire. And we have in history an example of her husband, which is in his chart, making complaint, opposition to his ascendant about the shit, to his leader, his Mars. Okay? Yeah. I believe Elijah Muhammad was an Aries rising. Okay? So he was Mars in Malcolm's chart. Man, so when you in hindsight, you really see it all. All right? So if it was in Malcolm's chart that his second child was going to set his house on fire, and that's what happened, This shit happened in the fucking 80s, man. 60 something years after Malcolm was born, and almost 30 years after Malcolm, 30 years after Malcolm died. Malcolm died at the age of 39. So that's 69, 70 years. His birth chart spoke to realities that would be national world news in the fucking 80s. So this is to show y'all how the relationship, every relationship you get into, whether it succeeds or fails, whether this nigga was a monster and beat the fuck out you, or whether you caught this nigga cheating and threw lye on his face and then left him there while he was scorching to death, right? See, all of that is your soulmate. Every experience we have down here is a spiritual experience, man. I don't look at myself as a spirit having a human experience. I look at myself as a spirit, infinite spirit having a temporal experience, a temporal spiritual experience. It doesn't become less spiritual because I'm in the flesh. Now we're gonna have some interaction here.
I love that. I say that to my. I love how you said that. Damn, Ron. Woo, you scorched him today, my brother.
I mean, because when do you stop being a spirit? When do you stop being a spirit? When do you stop being a spirit, God? Like, you know, people think that your spirituality is separate from your worldly existence. I don't believe that, because it's your spirit operating in the world. So it's still spiritual. And since your spirit is infinite, this ain't disconnected from what happened before or what happens after this. And what was before this and what happens after this can't be more spiritual, because it's a constant. You are an infinite spirit. It's a constant. Okay, but go ahead, Lord.
Man, like I said, man, you went in tonight, deep, man. And yeah, I want to do at this time. When your line messed up, I made the announcement about what we got coming up. But what I want to do real quick is I want to share. This is a special one tonight, y'all. I want to share real quick Raku's Cash App. That's your Cash App on the screen that I got?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I tell my guests when they come on here, like, and you know, what you did for us tonight with this show, this is special. I want the family who's watching, whether you're watching live or in the future, to show this man love. And we started out the show, Rob was talking about how he's being affected by the economy because his services is more of a luxury. And to have him come on here, and if this was a basketball game, I would say Rod dropped like 59 points tonight. He dropped about 59. He gave us about 59 points tonight. I want to make sure if we got 1,300 people in here, if we all give $2, that would be absolutely amazing to let this man know what he does and what he brings to the world and to our community is appreciated. And appreciation and gratitude is one of the most powerful frequencies in the universe. And it's something that you show, not just say. You show gratitude many different ways, but one way I would like for us to show it tonight, and as I tell my guests, I'm rich. I'm the rich God. So I come with an economy, and I want the economy known as Black Magic 363 to show this brother love. You sweating like a motherfucker. You sweating like Patrick Ewing at the free throw line.
It's and that's what, motherfucker. And whenever I do a presentation, man, I bust a sweat, man.
Indeed, beautiful. But listen, all right, make sure you support him. Also, I was telling the family before, because I want to get to, I got to get out of here, but I want to get to a couple of questions from y'all. We got the show coming on Patreon. The name of the show is called Married to My Purpose. That's going to be on my Patreon, patreon.com/blackmagic363. Ra, are you able to film that episode this Saturday? Are you doing something Saturday?
I don't have anything planned for Saturday, but hold on, let me make sure I don't have a reading.
Okay. This show, I'm going to be getting it because I just got the Sony FX3. I'm real happy. I haven't, because I've been doing so much live streaming. I haven't, remember back in the day I stayed with a camera. I had the old Black Magic, but I got a couple of cameras actually. So I'm gonna be getting back into the camera and all cameras and all of that. But the name, I'm going to be doing a lot of original programming, and one of the shows that I'm creating is called Married to My Purpose, and that is because a lot of us don't know our purpose. Who better to show us our purpose or to teach us our purpose than a brother like this? Through the stars, through the signs, through our birth dates, through our charts. So this is going to be a groundbreaking show. We got to completely reshape media, the entertainment industry, all of that. We got to take what we call entertainment and media to the next level. So yeah, it's going to be a magnificent show. If you are not signed up to Patreon, make sure you do. It's called Married to My Purpose, and we're going to be filming somebody. If you would like to be on the show, let me put this on. If you would like to be, a couple of people emailed me last time I made the announcement. If you would like to be interviewed on the show, somebody said, Rich, can I get on the show? Miss Squeaky71, email me. Miss Squeaky said, Rich, can I get on the show? Email me. We're going to be picking about 4 people. And yeah, it's going to be a waiting list because we're going to do this on a monthly basis. So if you would like to be on the show and you're in the Atlanta area, this is your opportunity to get a free mini reading from Raoul, a good one, because you know you got to get the lengthy one, but you got to call him for that personally. But this is an opportunity to get the ball rolling. Email me. We're going to be taking a couple of people from the Atlanta area. We're going to be filming this Saturday, Married to My Purpose, a brand new original program premiering on my Patreon, which is Black Magic 363. Make sure you hit up that email if you're in the Atlanta area. It'll be uploaded by Monday. By Monday, it will be uploaded to the Patreon. It's going to be a magnificent show. I got a show with Rod Hayes coming as well. I got several shows lined up on Patreon. I'm going to be filming this week. So it's going to be some great original programming that I'm going to be presenting to the Patreon community. Get ready. It's going to be real fun. With that being said, Rod, anything
I gotta say this before you ask your question, man.
Yeah.
There's much love for the announcement you made about my Cash App.
Yes,
and
sir.
much love for everybody that's dinging my shit right now. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate this. You're gonna make me cry. Okay.
Rod, listen.
Playing either, man.
This is an economy. Listen, we got our own economy.
Crazy, God.
I got
to do a show every day.
I don't be playing like this. Listen, what we represent here. I always said I got one of the best audiences, the best chats in the world. You know, it's a great energy exchange, and yeah, it's beautiful, man. So when I put the call out, I know the family. Let me put it back up. I know my people gonna take care of y'all. This is the Black Magic 363 economy. You deserve it. We heard what you said in the beginning. Then we heard how you went in for an hour straight. Come on, brother. You think we not gonna look out for you?
Listen, I'm only able, for the sake of time, you know, respecting your schedule and your show, man. I'm doing a workshop on compatibility. If y'all really think I went in here, I barely scratched the surface. I didn't have time to go into the core. I just gave you a rundown of what we look at. I didn't even begin to show you how we look at it.
Beautiful. Tell them when is the workshop? Tell them about that.
It's going to be Sunday. I'm going to post it Sunday. I'm actually making it Friday, right? But Sunday is going to be posted on my Patreon, Cosmo Physics 361. Just come on over to Patreon and see us, y'all. I got different tiers of entry. This presentation is going to be on the middle tier. So if you want access to it, it's going to be study worthy, thorough, and comprehensive enough for you to look at your own chart and at least identify the aspects that you're working with.
Shout out to King Simon. King Simon got his Cash App, Venmo, phone number, Instagram, all that good stuff. So make sure y'all check out
King Simon, peace to the God. Much thanks.
Yeah.
Much thanks.
Somebody said Rich is going to build a new 5D chamber of commerce. Yeah, you know, Yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed. New Diamond said, "Where can we find the class? The class is on his Patreon. What's your Patreon again?
Cosmophysics 361. COZMOPHYZIX. Just put that in the chat at Google and put Patreon behind it. It'll take you to my page. And there's links on my pages on IG.
Indeed. King Simon, if you could post that in the chat when you get a chance, I appreciate it. Somebody said I hit your Cash App overdue. Yeah, yeah. Indeed.
Man, if I was to read, there's more than shit. Okay, well, let me just do it like this because I don't know who wants their name screamed and who don't, right?
No, just hold on. Let's don't
Let
do
me
that,
show
Rod.
you this, okay? This here was when you made the announcement.
Yeah.
And this is what's been going on since you made that announcement.
Bro, I
And
know
some
that.
people are sending way more than $2, God.
Brother,
I
I know.
appreciate all the love, but believe me, my kids is gonna eat well.
I
Okay?
know. I know.
And
People
it's still
listen.
coming. It's still coming, God. I appreciate this from
No,
all of y'all.
no. Ra, this is gonna happen all night long. I'm telling you how it works. It's happened before. It's gonna happen all night long. You're gonna wake up and it's still gonna be going on. I'm telling you how it works. I've seen it. I got the calls before. This is how it goes down, brother.
Well, you know I'm in Jupiter return, Lord. So this is a blessing, a manifestation of that right there, and I appreciate all this, man.
Indeed.
You know,
Let's give
as
me
critical as I think, I can't see nothing to criticize in action.
give
I'm
me a
grateful.
couple of questions before we get out of here, family. Give me a couple of questions before we get out of here. Somebody said this brings me to say, yo, it's beautiful when we able to treat the speakers in this manner. It's beautiful, man. These brothers and sisters that come on here. So I appreciate it, And when the time calls for it, it just, it happens like that. Give me some questions though before we get out of here, family. Give me a couple of questions. Let me see. I had I saved this comment earlier when I posed the question about the heart transplant. Somebody had posted in here, what about surrogates? I don't know what they meant by that.
I
but
do.
it's kind of
I
similar
know
to
exactly what they
okay,
meant.
great. Yeah, I
You
didn't know.
have what they call surrogate parents.
Right.
Okay. In other words, me and my wife can't carry a child. So me and my wife clinically inseminate.
Yeah.
And they transplant that into a woman that's going to carry this child. Okay. You want a woman who has good aspects to your seventh ruler, to any occupants in the seventh house, no matter where the seventh ruler is. You want good aspects to that. You want, because that's the agreement that y'all are making. You want a person who has good aspects to your fifth ruler, or it depends on which child you're having. Is this the first child, second child, third child, fourth child, fifth child, sixth child? You want them to have good aspects to that. Okay. And you want to be able to look at their chart to see if your grief, your Saturn, is their happiness, their Jupiter. If there's a good relationship between their happiness and your grief, I would say that you shouldn't use this person. You dig what I'm saying? This is how compatibility is evaluated. Their garbage may fall on your goal. And therefore, what they find useless and what they find easy to dispense with, you find very valuable. You see? So you're going to read the surrogate with the same scrutiny that you're going to read your partner, because this person is carrying both of y'all's child. So you're going to look at this person's aspect of both of y'all to see what the energy exchange has been determined for y'all is, to see what that is.
Right.
I hope that answers the question.
Indeed. No, definitely. Somebody says, how are we looking with air travel nowadays?
How am I, or everybody
I
in
guess
normal?
everybody. I guess they mean everybody.
Well, that is not determined from me looking at what's going on in the sky right now. People with a strong Cancer influence are the people who should avoid unnecessary contact with machines. And the biggest machines most commonly encountered by us today that are dangerous are transportational machines. So if you're a Cancer rising and you have bad aspects to Uranus, you don't want to fly on a day that there are bad aspects to Uranus. You want to fly when there are good aspects to Uranus, right? Which is your eighth ruler, the indicator of injury and or serious harm. I mean, that's one filter that I would put it through. But there are really a few filters I would put it through. You know,
Right.
I would like to look at a person like, for example, if you said, "Yo, I'm getting ready to fly to China, and I really want to know if it's safe, Rob," I would really give a fuck about your chart. Give me your daughter and your son's chart,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I can see what's going to happen to their father better than I can see what's going to happen to you through your own chart.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, okay. Let's keep this thing going. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, family. There was some. Hold up. Somebody said, "How much is a long reading?" Let me ask that one real quick. How much is a long? Well, how much? He said, "How much is a long reading, Rod?" Just answer that for
Five
me.
hundred dollars for the full course meal,
Okay.
and I take payment plans. You got to call me to work out those details. I use Klarna or Firm, and I have my own payment plan. Okay, so if you can't afford the $500, fine. I'm currently until the 7th of September doing a $250 natal personality breakdown. You can call me at 516-881-6992 if you want to get that specialty reading. Okay. Call me to book it. I do everything on booking, and call me between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be glad to accommodate you. I also do free 5 minute sample, one time 5 minute sample between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. any day. So you can call me between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Again, my phone number is 516-881-6992. Now, what you gonna say?
Rod, they want to know, does the readings work for polygamous relationships as
Yes,
well?
they do. Yes, they do. We have composite reads. It's $500 a person. So you come in a polygamous group. I'll give you a price breakdown. I'll give you a discount if you come in as a group. Well, I'm gonna let y'all know. If you got any shy people in that group, I'm reading you for everything I see. I'm not pulling no punches.
Mm,
Okay.
indeed.
I'm gonna let y'all know that before you come. Because some people feel like, oh, you trying to sabotage the relationship. One dude, he's a cold-blooded woman beater. He got Mars and the moon in the seventh house, okay? With Saturn in Cancer. Nigga, you whoop on your woman and I can see that. Okay. So
Mm,
he was like, yeah, but that was in the past. I'm older now, and I don't want you to bring that up to the woman that I'm talking to now. And I'm supposed to read him and her together. Well, I told him that he needs to pull out of the reading. You need to pull out, because if you're a 10 and she wants to know about you, I'm not holding shit back. So you need to think about that when you come to me for the reading before you accuse me of trying to sabotage your little dream coupling. Okay? I truly am like a surgeon. I'm like a surgeon. I don't care what you feel. You ask me to read the chart, that's what the fuck you gonna get. That's what I promise you I'm gonna do. I'm not holding shit back. So if you've done some shameful shit, don't come. You done
Okay.
some shit. You the type of woman that you gonna take a life insurance policy out this nigga and then plot to see him dead in a couple years. Don't come to me, because if I see that shit, I'm gonna tell him like, yo,
Rod,
and vice versa.
you know how hard that brother worked to get two women his whole life, man. You he like you about to mess it up for him, man.
No, I'm not. See, people think that. I don't determine whether y'all are gonna stay together or not. I show you this is where y'all gonna have challenges. This is
Yeah.
where it's gonna be easy. Oh, does that mean we should be together? I don't know. And guess what, man? I don't give a fuck. Okay? I'm going to give you where you're going to have challenges and where you're going to have harmony.
It is up to you now to decide whether you're going to deal with that harmony. But does that mean I shouldn't be with him? I don't know, babe, and I don't know. And guess what, man? It's your problem. It's
Indeed.
not on me because I don't know what you're willing to endure. It's like if I see a bad aspect of his Mars from your Mercury, that means that he's going to get irritated when you start complaining about shit. Okay? Now, do I know him well enough to say that irritation is going to blow up or that irritation is only going to be mild? That from time to time? Nah. But if his Mars is lit up, I'm going to assume, as any other astrologer would, that this nigga often resorts to his temperance. You see? If she needs to know that, even if she's willing to endure it. You see? How do I know whether the relationship will work or not? Or what I know is she's going to be exposed to his irritation in some form of fashion. So that's what I'm going to tell her. Look, he gets irritated when you do this. You're going to get irritated when he does that. Now, who the fuck am I to say, well, you shouldn't be with him on that note? I'm not. So I can't mess up a person's relationship. Now, what I can do is, if you have a tendency that looks dangerous, I'm going to bring that up. And then what y'all getting the reading for in the first place? Don't you want her to know? If you're trying to deceive her, don't come to me. If you're trying to deceive him, don't come to me. And if the truth is going to mess your relationship up, you don't need no astrologer in there making it worse anyway. Common sense, man. You ain't that he don't deserve you or that she don't deserve you. You know this in your heart of heart that if she knew this, she would not fuck with you. Then don't come to me, champ. You dig? Because I'm going to read everything that's there. That's what you're paying me to do. You're paying me to read everything that's there.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right, we're going to do 2 more questions, then we're going to get out of here. Somebody said, I don't know my time of birth. How can my chart be done?
Well, I've been an astrologer for enough time to glean methodology to determine what time you were born. I can determine right here in less than 2 minutes what your rising sign may very well be with very little margin of error. However, the exact time of birth is a mathematical process of elimination. And I can't determine which one of those 30 degrees is yours without performing the examination. But I can do that within 40 minutes if you got a good memory of what the last 2 weeks were like.
All right. Let me see. I think I'm going to get to this last one. Should I had some super chat questions? My fault, family. I see new diamonds here in the super chat, and okay. All right. Is that another one? Let's get to new diamonds real quick. Thank you so much, Rich and Rod, for this amazing show. Question: the Virgo solar eclipse is on the 21st. What can we expect?
Well, you can expect that wherever you have Virgo in your chart with respect to what cusp it's on, that eclipse is going to show you where there's a malfunction or a potential malfunction in that house, where it needs to be bolstered if malfunction is not the correct word to describe that process. There's going to need to be some bolstering. This is what eclipses are for. They tell us, hey, your muffler is hanging loose. It's going to scrape on the ground and it's going to cause spark. Hey, you're running out of oil. Your shit getting ready to start squeaking. So this is what the eclipses do. They show us societally where the tragedy is going to be. They show us individually where the focus should be for improvement.
Indeed. All right. Shout out to somebody again. Another person gave a super chat. They said, it's me, Overthinkers Perspective. Raool was on my podcast the other day. I love y'all, brother Rich. I've been watching you for over 6 years. Check out my channel. I want to get on your podcast. Shout out to you, my brother.
Overthinker Perspective. Yeah, he's a good young brother, man.
Yeah, shout out to that brother
I
right
need
there.
to check him.
Appreciate the donation, my brother. Yeah, email me and I could check some of your stuff out. All right. Let's get to this last question. Last question before we get out of here, family, for the night. Does the chart dive into what shadow work needs to be done?
Yes, it does. Terribly so. Every planet has its shadow. Every planet has its bright side and its dark side. And every human being needs to work on the dark side of their planets, no matter how righteous they are. Right? We all have deficiencies that can be improved. That's why we come down here.
Indeed. Hey, Rob, man, leave your contact info one more time. And before you do, let me just tell the family we are filming in Atlanta this Saturday for the new show that's going to be on Patreon. It's called Married to My Purpose. It's a show in which Ra is speaking with people, helping them to understand what their purpose in life, in this journey that we call life, should be. It's one of the most rewarding things you could do is to live in your purpose, no matter how much money you make, no matter how many cars you got or whatever. If you're not fulfilling your purpose, if you're not doing what you came down here to do, there's going to be a heavy level of discontent. As you can see from Raoul, the passion that's in him, he's living within his purpose. As you can see with what I do, I am living within my purpose. Pure joy, happiness, and content from us doing what we're supposed to do. We want to help you do what you're supposed to do down here as well. So if you're in the Atlanta area, reach out to me on that email that I left. And if you can't make it, make sure you check it out on Patreon. It will air this Monday. All right. Patreon.com/blackmagic363. It's an original program. It's for the people who support me on Patreon. And I'm going to have a lot of original programming that's airing this month and the rest of the year. So want to say that. With that being said, Rob, leave your contact info. Let them know everything you got coming up, my brother.
Well, to answer your question earlier about am I available Sunday? Yes, I have no book.
No, Saturday. That's a Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
I think. This Saturday coming?
Yeah. That's
the 13th, right? No, that's the 7th.
No, the 6th. This Saturday is the 6th.
Okay, no, I'm open on. I ain't got nothing the 6th.
You good? All right.
Yeah,
all
I'm good on the 6th.
We'll find somebody in. Okay, all right. Okay.
Just call me, tell me what time on the 6th.
Yeah, I figured out.
My information is this, y'all. You can call me any day between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me say that again. Because I don't want to answer the phone before 1. I'm not answering after 7. Call me between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. And there's always a slew of people that don't hear that. Because they be like, oh, I just heard the phone number. Well, if you heard the phone number, if you hear the phone number coming, you heard that announcement, right? Between 1 and 7. Please adhere to that. Respect my time. All right. Now, my phone number is 516-881-6992. Right? 516-881-6992. Eastern Standard Time between 1 p.m. and 7. I'll be glad to accommodate you. I teach classes. I do all kinds of reading. You're going to have to contact me and discuss with me what it is you're trying to know so I can know exactly what type of reading to fashion to your taste or preference. All right? You can you can find me on Instagram as COZMO361, all one word, no dots, no dashes, because I got a lot of imposters pretending to be me, and their names got dots and dashes in them. And it's COZMO361. Just like that.
Indeed. Once again, family, I want to give a thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you to King Simon and Raoul. I want to thank you for the show. Look forward to starting this new series with you on Patreon. I will see you this Saturday. I'm going to give you a call. I'm going to look at the email, see who hollers at me, and I will give you a call Wednesday and give you an update about everything that's going on, my brother. But amazing show, Ra. Absolutely flawless show. Appreciate it, my brother. And I will talk to you in a couple of days, Ra.
Peace, you and everybody else, man.
Peace, Ra. All right. Family, appreciate y'all tonight. I will see you. I'll be back Wednesday. I might be back early tomorrow, but I will definitely be back Wednesday night. All right, family. Great show. As always. Yeah. King Simon said we'll be at I'm gonna be over there. Me and Ra's gonna film that episode. I'm gonna talk to Ty Sealy about us filming upstairs, King Simon. You know, she got that meditation room upstairs. I'm gonna talk to her about me and Ra filming that episode upstairs in that meditation room. The first episode of Married to My Purpose. So I'm gonna talk this. I'm gonna call her tomorrow. I'm gonna call Tassili tomorrow, and yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So I'm gonna try to film up there in that meditation room. But with that being said, man, everybody have a wonderful night, family. All right. See you on Wednesday. Peace.